Yeah. What is up, guys? It is Wednesday, straight from the chest. I'm your host, Justin Groth, and this is Wednesday Wrath. Oh, man. It's a big day today. It's been a long day, I want to tell you. And let me just say this. The longer you sit and question yourself, the harder it is to authenticate and convey your truth. I think you need to sit on that for a minute and apply that in multiple areas of your life. How often do you sit and question yourself, what you're going to do, what you're going to say, what you want to do in your life, perhaps, and how much further away do your authenticated truths become? The goal is for you to bring out those authentic truths, not question them. That's where misdirection comes. When you question the authentic, organic truths that are you, you lose your uniquity. You lose sight of what you're called to be, what you're called to do. I mean, think about it in the very, very micro, choosing food. You know, when your wife or spouse is asking you what you want to eat, or let's just say you're asking yourself, what do I want to eat today? And you crave, you want, let's just say a sandwich, okay? But you start thinking, wow, the sandwich, well, if I got it, I would do this, I would get this kind of sandwich, and yeah, that's good, but I kind of want this, and I kind of, well, this would be good too, this would be good over here, and it's like, maybe I should go there, but that place doesn't have, I might want pizza, but that place doesn't have good pizza. I have to go across town to the other pizza place, and so your mind starts going in different directions, and you sway from the originality, the original concept of what was going to satisfy you. The first thought was the sandwich. A sandwich is going to satisfy me. But then, I don't know, something reminds you of something else, and you end up going off, just total off stream into thinking of some other food entity. That doesn't have really anything to do with the podcast today, but it's just something that I want to put out there because I feel that I myself struggle with that. It's something that I think we all kind of underlyingly struggle with. Just understand that the longer you question yourself, your path, who you were called to be, the longer you question and sit on that, the more suppressed your authentic truths become. And you don't ever want to suppress what's authentic to you. You don't ever want to suppress the calling in. You don't ever want to suppress the brewing that you're experiencing. You never want to suppress those feelings. You never want to suppress those truths. Because even though in the short term, what lays in front of you, it's not presenting itself yet. And that doesn't mean that you question it or you give up entirely. That's called faith. You got to have faith in what you can't see. And again, that's nothing to do with the podcast, but that's just something that's resonating within me, and I feel like I had to share it with you because I'm sure that there's other people that are going through those questionables in their life. So just hold on to that. As long as you question, the further and further you question, the longer you question, your authentic truths, the more suppressed they become, and honestly, the more redirected you are off your path. And that could be the worst thing in life. I mean, the only other worst thing would be, I don't know, to be murdered or something, or go to prison for life. But you not fulfilling your purpose and who you are called to become, that's a self-imposed death, to be honest with you, in my regard, to the way I feel. Somebody asked me, well, people ask me this every day. They ask me, how's business? And for those of you who don't know me personally, business is crazy. And at times it's too much. And that can come off in a pessimistic way when I tell somebody that, when I speak that, it can come off in like I'm just not, I'm not happy, or I'm not joyful about it, that it's so busy. And because people equate being busy to making a lot of money. And yes, but when you're an entrepreneur, when you have, let's just take entrepreneurship right now. When you're a business owner, you have a lot of expenses going out. And a lot of people don't know, they don't factor in, I should say, all those expenses you have going out. And they believe, well, you're booked beyond your measure. That's great. That means you're making, what they're intently saying is, you're making a lot of money. Like money is making me happy. That's what's making me, that's my driver. Money's my driver. That's the thing that I go to work for every day. That's not the thing I go to work for every day. That may be the thing that you go to work for every day. But the reason why I show up to my studio every day is because fitness is something that I live and breathe and sleep. And so I'm able to pass that on to other people. That's great. But guess what? I'm a human being with feelings and emotions and actual, I don't know, I have my bad days too, just like you do. And because I'm doing business one by myself, nobody helping me except for obviously God, my accountant. I have an assistant that helps me with certain things, with certain legal matter. But I mean, I'm facilitating on my own. And it's a lot when you're dealing with 12 to 15 different personalities a day. It's not just I'm training my buddies and we're doing bicep curls in the mirror, flexing our arms and talking crap. No. I mean, most trainers that get into this like to think that that's what their forecast is going to be. But newsflash, that's not the way it goes down. So it's a lot. But it's a lot because it's just me. If I had other trainers under me taking some of that work, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? So when they ask me that and I tell them that and they say, oh, it's a good, if we come in contact and you ask me, how's business? And I tell you, it's super busy because I'm telling you the truth. And you tell me that's a good problem to have, I'm turning around. I am not speaking to you anymore, because that is by far my biggest pet peeve when people say that. When they say, oh, that's a good problem to have, you're like, I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm serious. I can't stand that saying. And you clearly aren't in business, because if you are to say that's a good problem to have, then that means more therapy sessions is a good problem to have. Or more days that you scream in your pillow. That's a good problem to have. Because essentially what that means. You have so much business, meaning so much time to not do other things that produce value in your life, because you're working so much. That's not life. That's a part of life. But you need to understand balance. And so the last couple of years, that's what I've practiced. So I don't work weekends. I have certain hours in the day that I block out of my schedule that I will not take clients. I start a certain time of the day, no matter what, because my driver is not money. My driver is longevity and producing passion in the thing that I'm great at. And I'm only great at this because I'm great with people. I'm not great at this because I have an extensive education. I'm not great at this because I have over 10 years experience in the field. I'm not great at this because I'm a master trainer. I'm great at this because I'm great with people and because I understand people and because I design programs around people, not around what my education states only. It's not definitive on that measurement alone. I'm an entrepreneur because I have to be. I'm an entrepreneur because it's not an option for me to train at a commercial gym and do things the way they do things. Because let me tell you, I don't agree with the way that they do things. And let me give you an example. When you're a trainer at a gym, a commercial gym, most gyms, if not, I would say 99% of them, are going to have a structure in place for their personal trainers. And that structure, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, is going to require you as the personal trainer, aka fitness professional, taking measurements of that prospect that's coming in and wanting to entertain personal training with you. You take measurements, you get them on a scale, you take their weight, you ask them questions, obviously previous injury history, etc., goals, etc. That is the general assessment, quote unquote, of 99% of the trainers in their respected gyms. Now, from the gate, I'm talking about the very first gym I ever worked at, new trainer, like new trainer, never believed in that. Never. And I'm a bodybuilder. I don't come from a background of being overweight and losing 100 pounds and having that as my testimony. No, I mean, I was a regular kid that started getting into weightlifting and acquired that as my identity and started competing in natural bodybuilding competitions. And that's when I started falling into wanting to help other people as well. But even from the gate, I never believed in taking measurements and taking weight, because essentially what I'm telling somebody is, you're ridiculously out of shape. You know you've messed up for months, if not years, on your nutritional plan and not exercising, aka being a lazy bleep. And that's not what I went into business for. What I went into business to be a personal trainer for was to help others, not to magnify where they went wrong. Because clearly they know they went wrong. That's the reason why they're sitting at my desk. It's not because they need reiteration of where they messed up and how off they are and how big their waistline is and how much they weigh on a scale, and for me to document that, being in my tight shirt, my muscles bulging out, me being in tip-top shape, and then having that as, and I don't say that to gloat, I'm just trying to paint a picture here, people. So I don't do that to make myself look a certain way and to make and belittle them and to let them know how much they need me. I already know they need me. That's the reason why I'm there to help, not for me to shove in their face where they went wrong and why and how out of shape they are. They already understand that. So that's the reason, that's one of the reasons why I could never work in a gym. And if I ever close my studio down, I'll never go work for another gym, ever. Because I can't focus on someone else's structure. That's the reason why I have my own habitation. Because my authentic truths cannot come through in someone else's structure. Not because I'm entitled, not because I think my way is better, not because I have authority issues, because I can't authenticate my truths under someone else's structure. So, respectfully, I deflect. Respectfully, I resign from those types of, in that type of an avenue, because I just can't function in that way. And so I have no other choice but to become my own businessman. But to be honest with you, I hate business. I hate business. I hate entrepreneurship. I'm not in entrepreneurship or business because I want the title of entrepreneur. I could give a bleep about that. I don't care about that. I'm in this space because there's something that's unique about me as a trainer that I can only do in my own habitation that I can't do under someone else's structure. And I've answered that call years ago. That's a part of my purpose. It's not the entirety, but it's a part nonetheless. And so that's the reason why I'm here. Because I can't facilitate my authentic truths on the measure of someone else's structure. And I can't harp on that enough. That's so important. That's so important. If you feel a certain way on a subject matter, and you feel it should be you feel it should be derived in a different way, or it should be executed in a different way, and you feel very strongly on that, and you're not under the influence of any opiates or any intoxicating drug, I think you should run with that. I mean, there are so many different examples in history. Beethoven heard music differently, but it wasn't because, see, Beethoven felt like music should be composed in a certain way, but everybody in his genre was composing it a different way. And his dad was even instructing him to compose it in that same respect. But see, Beethoven had a gift, and he heard music differently, and he felt it should be composed differently. And because it was his passion, and because it was what was inside of him, it was an authentic truth, he couldn't sway from that. He had to deliver on that notion regardless of the population or regardless of the reputable vote. He had to go with his gut. He didn't sit and think on it. He went with his gut. And because of that is the only reason why you know Beethoven today, and why his name has a polarizing effect and it has for centuries. Beethoven went with his gut. Beethoven listened to his authentic truths, no matter the vote, no matter the popular thing to do in his genre. And I'm not comparing myself to him. I'm just stating that the longer you sit in, well, I guess this does have something to do with what I was going to talk on. By the way, this is all improv. I had no direction before, or I had very little direction before I came in this podcast. But this is where it's going. So your authentic truths, if you don't listen to them, you can really, really lose out on who you were called to be. And you know what? Again, the reason why I'm here in this space is not because of money. Money's not my driver. I didn't become a personal trainer because I wanted to be a multimillionaire. I became a millionaire at all. I became a personal trainer because I can't do anything else. Do you understand that? I can't be anybody else than what I am right now. That's a calling on my life. It is not the final calling, but it's a calling. If I were to go the easy route and, I don't know, work back for my parents again and do jobs that I wasn't intensely passionate about. I would be going to work just to make money. Even in the midst of my busyness and the personal attention that I give 12 to 15 different individuals a day, doesn't mean that the driver is the money. The driver is my passion because it's my purpose. Because that's the thing that authenticates who Justin is. So I continue with that. But at the end of the day, I don't like it. It's sometimes too much for me. And when I say I don't like it, I mean I don't like being that busy, because it's not about the money. For me, it's about the passion that I deliver. It's about where this is going to take me. It's about the person. It's about restructuring components in that person's life that lack. But the only way that I was able to do that on my own terms was to become my own businessman. The reason why I hate business is because it can potentially take away the intimacy of the relationship between the two parties in business. And I'm much more about the scale of that relationship than I am in extracting money from the person. But you have to put a monetary value on your talents or on your services to indicate your value. So I do that. But that's the reason why I hate business. That's the reason why I could care less about being an entrepreneur, because my soul authentic purpose is to not be an entrepreneur, but is to give something to somebody that maybe others can't give. And I can't do that under somebody else's structure, so I had no other opportunity. I had no other choice. You see what I'm saying? This is the only choice. Now, realistically speaking, it's not the only choice. I could go bus tables at a restaurant, wait tables with no experience, no education. And I'm assuming I could do fine, but that's not delivering on any purpose in my life. The way that I get fulfilled with energy is being able to expel energy into others. And I do that my best through fitness. And it's much more than fitness when you're training somebody. Personal training is much more personal than it is training. But anyways, I keep going back to the whole commercial gym thing because I don't really convey the type of disgust that it brings me when having somebody come into my presence or at the desk. I say presence, but that sounds too like bravado-ish, so I don't want to say that. But coming to my desk and talking about their fitness and their goals, etc., their previous injury history, it really sickened me that they wanted me to take measurements and a weight on this person that clearly is out of shape, clearly here for the right reasons, because they need to be directed. They need to be instructed. They need to be held accountable. So that's what we should work on. It's not about me showing you how out of shape you are. Just like when we go to church because we're broken, because we need to be filled up with water, the water of life, the truth, the word. We don't go to church and the pastor sits at us and says, you know, this is where you messed up. You messed up here, here, here. God can't do anything with that. This is going to be so much to redo all the crap that you've been through. You already know that going into church. You already know you're screwed up. That's why you're there. These people already know that they're screwed up, both nutritionally and physically, and probably mentally. And that's why they're there, because they need to be reinstilled with new and prosperous habits. They need to be structured in terms of their fitness and directed and educated, and they need to be held accountable. And that's my job. So I have no scale. I have no measuring tape. I don't measure with skin fold your body fat percentage. I don't care about those things. They're all arbitrary markers to me. They mean nothing. What means everything is how you feel. What means everything to me is how your clothes are fitting. That's what that means. That's what progression is to me. In church, if you're progressing, you're getting convicted. And off that conviction, you're changing your ways. You're relinquishing your old baggage. Because you know the pathway that lays ahead for you is going to be a challenge, but it's going to bear much more fruit. But you know that pathway is going to be hard. It's going to take you stripping yourself of your old ways. It's going to take you dropping your baggage so that you can start running again. The same with fitness. It's going to take you dropping old habits, relinquishing certain people from your life, certain activities in your life, and pressing through the exercises like there's no tomorrow, like battling through the weights like you just don't have any other choice or option. And trust me, you'll see that you're out of shape. I won't have to tell you, because when I have you push a sled for 100 meters, how hard is that going to be? It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. And that's going to be your own self-inflicted conviction that you've let yourself go for too long. You should have done this years ago. But you're doing it now. And that's what makes me proud. That should make you proud. You should have changed yourself years ago. You should have dropped that old boyfriend and those old habits and that alcoholic addiction years ago. You should have stopped smoking years ago. You should have stopped hanging out with that group of people years ago. You should have started coming and listening to the word years ago. But you didn't. But you're here now. You don't need any external conviction from the pastor, because he was broke just like you, which is the reason why he's delivering the word now. I initially thought this was going to be a short podcast, but it went pretty long. But anyways, guys, stay true to your authentic truths. And don't think about it too long. Instead, function at the core of who you are, reliant on your authentic truths. Finished.